that they're doing. I think even breaking it down quarter by quarter is ridiculous. I think that's asinine in my opinion,
Hmm.
because it's hard to follow. I mean,
Yeah.
they're starting over each quarter, but they're accumulating their score at the end.
And the game comes on late as hell.
Right,
Like
right.
seriously, the game don't start till like 9 o'clock. I'm like on a Sunday.
On a
I'm
Sunday,
like, if it was Saturday, yo, I'm with you. But
right?
the game on a Sunday, I'm like, yo, I really don't feel like staying up, to see the end of this. Like, I don't. Seriously.
Because the game itself wasn't good. So I
Yeah.
mean, it is what it is. Hopefully they change it, but only time would tell, man. Only time would
Yeah.
tell.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
yo, I know you talked to me earlier about the shoe game. So
Oh boy.
we had the Nike exec, the lady who actually she resigned, and
Yeah.
her son was actually like a bot. She was giving him the codes and the access and everything to be able to
Yeah.
get these shoes out, man.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts on that, man? I think we got a pic, and they posted on social media. They had like a picture of the guy. He had like mounds of shoes of
Right.
Nike just laid up. His
Man,
behind took a picture of it.
I'm gonna say like this, right? I had to get into this, and I had to talk to some of my sneakerheads, who follow them on the gram and everything like that, and they kind of follow them on social media, and they were just like, for your mom to work for Nike to be in on it, because I think she was in on it personally,
Yeah,
right? For her to be in on it, and he was just like, yo, you should see the selection this dude had. The selection wasn't really all that great. He's like, I can go to StockX and get better. I can go to Suplex in Philly and get better. I'm just like, I'm like, listen, you're not thorough if it's other stores that can beat, you know what I mean, for you, and you got the Nike Connect.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? If you got the Connect, you know what I'm saying? Yo, you should have the exclusive of the exclusive. You should have, with the kid from Japan who personally did them Air Force Ones that don't
right,
nobody got for like 20 racks. You should
right.
have that level of shoe. You know what I'm saying? So
Tina,
I'm just like, yo, I'm looking at it. I'm like, yo, I'm hearing about his collection, and I'm asking about certain shoes, and I'm like, yo, did he have the Betsy Ross Air Max 90s? You know what I'm saying? Because
right,
I'm like, they're going for 50 grand. You know what I'm saying? I like, listen, if you see here one of them pro Trump, pro America type of guys, you got 50 in your hand right there from them. He didn't even have them. So I'm like, man, listen, if you doing all of this, right, your selection should be much better. Step your game up, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, yo, with certain things that, my young boys was looking for. We ain't see the Wolf Great Fives, you know what I mean, OG. We
right,
ain't see, you know what I mean, for real, the black and blue threes. We ain't see, you know what I mean, for the Space Jams. We ain't see the Olympic sevens with the gold tips, not the silver tips. You know what
right,
I'm saying? Come
right,
on, man. You know what I
right.
mean? People will be in this sneaker game. You need to be in it heavy. Don't
Okay,
be in it. Don't be no lightweight with it. Come on,
absolutely,
man. Don't be no
absolutely,
lightweight. That's disrespectful to the guys who are really in this sneaker game.
absolutely.
Come on, man.
Absolutely. And to Tina's point, I do think that Nike was in on it. They had to be because everything is tracked personally. You know what I mean? Like I'm a sneakerhead. So, I can get my hands on almost anything if I really, really want to get my hands on it. But as of late, there was a lot of changes. It wasn't even the bots because even the bots were pretty much getting hit. And for those who don't know who the bots are, those are just like someone being able to create a bot, if you will, to be able to get into raffles and get into lines on online to be able to get the shoe. And for me, I was like, man, I'm taking some L's right now off of Nike. Like when I was on a winning streak, but I started taking some L's out of
Mhm.
nowhere. And then they start restocking, and I was getting the restocks.
Right.
And I was like, yo, something is going on. And
Yeah.
sure enough, when the situation came out in the open, I was like, it makes sense. There's more hands in the pot because the shoe game is a money making game.
Yeah.
There were some Dorenbacher ones that came out over the weekend,
Hmm.
and they were going on an auction. Mark, them joints went for 2 million. They'll resell for 2 million.
So,
You know
not
what I mean?
surprised.
And they're
Mhm.
ugly, and they're reselling for 2 million. These joints, the Carolina Blue that I got over the weekend, like these joints right here, they're starting to creep up right now. You know what I mean? People would ask me how did I pull that off because they were so hard to get. Everyone was taking L's. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But again, Nike know what they're doing. That I heard there was a whole shipment of these shoes that I have
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the thing, he's going for 500 right now off the rip. But they said there was a shipment of this shoe that was lost. It was ironically lost at sea. So there's like a whole shipment that was lost at sea.
Okay.
And that's what at sea, right? Whatever that means.
Yeah.
So they're still going to be releasing them again, like a restock, but
Right.
they just didn't have that many, man. So the shoe game is getting ridiculous.
Man.
I think, Nike hopefully don't have anything to do with it, but someone in there are leaking stuff. You know what I mean?
And I'm gonna tell you one thing, with the bots, right? You know what I'm saying? That actually crossed over to Sony with those PlayStation 5s, right? When people couldn't get their hands on them, you know what I'm saying? Then it all came out why you couldn't get your hands on them. Thanks to for my guy Neef, that took care of my people. Thank you, Neef, man. Because I don't know, they fell off a truck, we got them. All right, cool. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, this resale thing is crazy. It's definitely crazy. I think the mom was in on it, son was in on it. Only thing I'm gonna say to the son, get a better selection next time. If you got that kind of inside, I'm gonna need a better selection from you, because my young bulls was on it and they went to your page and they weren't impressed. You know what I'm saying? Not when you have the connect. Also, that leads us to another sneaker. The Yeezy sold out in a minute. You know what I'm saying? They sold out in a minute. The white ones look like hospital shoes. But that's just my opinion. You know what I'm saying? But they sold out in a minute. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they look terrible, man. Come on. You know what I'm saying? You come on. You know what I'm saying? They look terrible. But these things on resale are going to probably be insane. You know what I'm saying? The price is be insane.
I was going to ask you to cop them, man, just to resell them, but I was like, I'm good. I was so focused on the ones. I'm like, I'm good. Let me just get these ones out the way.
Right. I feel you.
Jesus fall where they made. But yeah, they sold out in a minute, man.
In a minute. That's insane.
That's insane.
In a minute. Like, man, but he has his hands on the pulse with his sneaker, because his sneakers always sell quickly. It's like Yeezys. It's like, people don't even care what it look like. It's just the name alone.
It's just the name.
The Yeezy sneaker is like the Gucci belt. You know what I'm saying? Right. I have to have it, right? So
I'm sitting on the pair. I got a pair right here, tag and everything still on it. Like, I haven't worn them. I put my foot in them just to see what they feel. They're comfortable and they're light.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I would never rock these. Like, that's not my style. You know what I mean? But I got them because I know prices are going up. Someone's going to want to buy it. And when it gets to that point where I feel comfortable letting them go, I let them go.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? If somebody, like, yo, they want those, cool. I'm trying to tell you, I got a pair of gold phone posits I never wore. You know what I'm saying? I like, yo, when the price gets to where I want them to get to, you know what I'm saying? Then it's cool. I'm trying to hope they shoot up there with them OVO Drakes and those, you know what I'm saying? Those, maybe half the Betsy Rosses or something.
Right.
If it gets in that territory where it's like, oh man, I could buy a whole set of rims, for these.
Right.
You know what I mean? Cool. Hey, we can talk.
Got some and my last one I want to share, like these joints right here. Marc, this is your steez right here, man. This is the Playboy joints, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Playboy Air Max. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So again, but they're hard to get. They were hard to get. So the box, they want everything. They want any shoe that release that could potentially be a resale value. No matter if the resale is at $40, they're going after it. Man, I don't resell anything other than it has to be 100 better. And that's on that's on a slow day. I need something that's going to be worth my while.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll say like this: anybody who's watching, if you could teach me how to sew or stitch, right, and you're really good at it, please teach me, because I have a pair of red Air Max 90s. I just want to stitch that Betsy Ross flag on there and sell them things off for about 50K. You know what I'm saying? I know white supremacists out there want a pair. You know what I mean? You can come right to me. You know what I'm saying? I got you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I need to find out.
Hey, look no further. Yo, so let's before we get into the last main two topics, let's get into our Fast Five segment.
Right.
So, anybody who follows us, we do a Fast Five segment where we knock down our five. But for tonight, we're going to have to throw a bonus in there because we pushed one of our main topics into the Fast Five.
Yeah, we did.
So before I get into that, matter of fact, let's go ahead and kick it off with the McDermott comment.
Yeah.
this clown McDermott, this college basketball coach.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on McDermott comments, man?
Man, first thing, out of line, out of bounds. He was suspended. He just got reinstated tonight, right before the Big East tournament, by the way. So he was suspended probably a total of 9 days. It really, the black players, I know they felt some type of way, and I think they probably went to, their friends, other students on campus, and that's how it got the pressure, that it did to suspend them, right? But he hasn't had any other transgressions or incidents, at the school, and that's what the school came out and said, and that's why he's reinstated. Also, he has a top, Creighton's a top 25 team every year for the last maybe 7 years. His son is Doug McDermott, who was drafted by the Chicago Bulls. So he, and he's, considered, a great offensive mind of basketball. I get all of that, right? Yep. That's from the basketball side. I'm just saying, for me personally, if my nephew, was a basketball player, he wants to come, and make the visit or whatever, I'm quite sure my family would deny it. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to play for him, because I'm just like, listen, if you could say that in public, imagine what you saying and what you say in private. That's right. All I'm saying.
Absolutely. You can't use words like that. You can't say, the plantation. Like, he's smarter than that. He's a basketball coach. He's been around enough players to understand the sensitivity around anything, especially in this kind of climate.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, he's canceled. I'm surprised they're allowing him to come back. I get it. He's saying that the students wanted him, the players want him to come back.
Yeah.
But these are kids, you know what I mean? They may not understand the gravity of it. He probably made a big apology or what have you, and it is what it is. But again, I think that was very insensitive. You could have found many different ways to say what you wanted to say without using the word plantation in a situation like that.
I agree.
So shame on him for that. The first one we got in the official Fast Five was the Soulja Boy and Randy Orton. Soulja Boy versus Randy Orton.
Man.
Yo, real talk, man. Part of me, I want to see Randy Orton honestly RKO Soulja Boy through the mat. Like, I want his head to bounce off the mat.
Right.
I mean, yo, what is Soulja Boy thinking, man?
Yeah, I'm just like, listen, and here's the thing, what I like with the Twitter thing? Randy Orton was bombing on him the whole time. I'm laughing at everything Randy Orton's doing. I'm like, the only person Randy Orton takes smack from is The Rock. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's pretty much it. You know what I'm saying? He was killing Soulja Boy. You know what I mean? For a Bow Wow, I think he got thrown under the bus along with him. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna say like this, Soulja Boy, I can't even tell you to stick to rap. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, man, the only thing I did like about Soulja Boy, is when he bombed on academics, that clown. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, I love that. But other than that, I'm just like, yo, stay in your lane, Soldier. You know what I mean? Big Draco. You know what I mean? Stay in your lane. Yeah. Stay in your lane, homie. You know what I mean? You don't want to catch that RKO heat at all. Bow Wow. Listen. Right. Keep doing the Tyler Perry movies and everything. You don't need to be in the ring because you're going to get killed too. I'm like, man, I have my money on the women's champion against Bow Wow, easy.
Absolutely.
Easy. You know what I mean? Charlotte Flair would kill him.
Destroy him, put him in a figure four leg lock and have him hurting.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Legs. So,
get out of here.
Get out of here with that, man. Come on, fam.
Right.
Our second one was a UFC 259, man. The UFC joint was like really, really crazy. The lineup was really good.
Yeah.
Some of the people that we saw on the lineup, those who watch MMA, honestly, my highlight from this was Nunes.
Yeah.
Nunes is taking these ladies out one by one. Yeah. It's not even fair anymore. Like, she's taking out some of the best women fighters out there at every weight class at this point. Yeah. And I don't see no one beating her. Like, she's a whole different grinder right now. She's different. I mean,
and I'm like, yo, she can take you down. She can grapple. She got knockout power. I'm just like, man, like, listen, when you get in the ring with her, it's just like, yo, it's not really like you're going to lose. It's really how fast. Yeah. And I'm like, she's taking opponents out quick.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, yo, if you want to throw hands, yo, listen, you ain't gonna be able to do that. If
Right.
you, I mean, your best bet is to try to get her on the ground, but that don't really work either because she knows how to move. You see how she got that arm bar on quick. She got that
Yes.
thing on quick. I'm
Yes.
just like, man, I'm like, yo, I had to go back and watch the match because I'm like, yo, how did that happen so fast? Like,
Yo,
she got that thing on quick.
Mark, I saw it coming when old girl dipped her shoulder. I said,
Mhm.
"Oh, it's about to happen." As soon as she dipped her shoulder, I was like, "She got it!" Like,
Right, right,
yo,
right, right.
like you
Absolutely.
can when you never dip your shoulder, never. And
Yeah,
as soon as she dipped her shoulder, it was like bam, 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 and it was
yeah,
over.
absolutely.
You know what I mean? So Nunes, undefeated. I mean, not undefeated, but she's right now the
Yeah,
undisputed champ.
yeah, absolutely.
She lost some early fights, but she
Yeah.
has hit her stride,
Mm-hmm.
and no one is touching her right now.
Nah,
Um,
nah, not at all.
the
Not at
other
all.
the other kid that wanted John
Izzy. Izzy. Yeah, Izzy. Yeah. Who-
Izzy, you had a good run.
Yeah.
You're not ready for John Jones.
Nah, not
You,
at
you
all.
you never was. You know what I
No,
mean?
it never was.
It never was. Let's be honest. And he got embarrassed. Like I
Yeah.
think he had the big head because he had some good wins.
Mm-hmm.
You can't count. It's hard to count wins against fighters who are past their prime. You know
Right.
what I mean? And also past their time.
Right.
And for him, his biggest fight, was one of the situations where I think he started talking crazy about John Jones during the fight, after the fight,
Right.
not realizing like that's a big guy,
Yeah.
and he would destroy you,
Yeah.
grappling, punching, striking.
Yeah.
He would destroy you, and he got beat by a lesser fighter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I
I
mean,
think he would get a shot.
and I'm gonna say like this, just like in boxing, when you move up in weight class, guess what? You lose a little bit of that power. So if you had knockout power, at one class, moving up, you have less of that. You know what I'm saying? And he fought the bigger guy and lost. And I'm just like, I don't think the John Jones fight happened. And I
Right.
think, like he always stayed behind a class to make
Yeah.
sure that he really didn't fight John Jones, but he was talking. It's kind of
Absolutely.
like, somebody, they doing all that, they got all that mouth, like when they like on the other end of the gym, you know what I mean? But when you face to face, they don't really have nothing to say. That's really Izzy right there. Sorry, boy. You know what I mean? You
Absolutely.
don't want no smoke at all. Cut it
Nah,
out.
not at all. So our next one we had the Drake new like a little some little tenderloins he giving us out there. Nothing major,
Yeah,
just
right.
how
Drake,
Drake do,
Drake
man.
being Drake.
Being Drake,
Right.
scary hours,
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
EP, 3 songs off of that.
Yeah.
I listen to all the joints. I like the one with him and Ross. Anytime Drake and Ross get together, you're getting some good
Yeah.
music.
Yes. Yes. You.
Um,
Yes.
he
You are.
threw a little jab at Kanye. He's still taunting Yeezy. Got
Yeah.
Yeezy crazy out here. So,
Yeah.
what,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on it? It's called What's Next. It was good. It was good. I think this is a appetizer right now.
Hmm.
We know the album is coming.
Yeah.
Five Lover Boy is coming. You see the heart. You see the heart part. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm gonna get a heart part real soon. Um, so it's coming, man. What are your thoughts on it?
Man, I'm gonna say like this. It just snuck up on me. I got the radio on. They were just like, yo, iHeart world premiere, right?
Yeah.
Boom, you know what I'm saying? For they dropped the one with Ross. Boom, they dropped the one with Lil Baby. And then he had the other one they dropped. I'm like, oh my goodness, you know what I'm saying? Drake, and I thought all of them was fire. You know what I'm saying? I was like, man, Drake just doing Drake things, man. I was like, man, one thing I'm gonna always give credit to Drake for is that him, his producers, writing team, whatever, his whole team, right? They yummy get in that room and they when they leave, they know they got something. They
Yep.
not just yo Drake, all right, y'all handle that. I'm gonna do the rapping part and then I'm gonna leave, right? Listen, if you want to make hit records, right, you need to be in tune with your producers, y'all meet your team, and that's how you make hits, man. You know what I'm saying? Some rappers have followed that, and you see, why they're successful, and some
Yep.
have not, and you're just like, like, all right, even if the guy, can rap his ass off, guess
Right.
what? The beats and the production kind of don't match, the rapping that this guy is doing, and that's why the project is average or worse. And I'm just like, listen, man, be in tune with your guys and come out with hits, man.
Absolutely.
If you got to keep, working and working and working, keep doing it because that's what Drake's at the top and he's still doing it that way. So what's your excuse?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So good EP. We know the album is coming. So I'm just waiting to see how that works, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our next one we had Skip. We had saw some news around Skip Bayless
Yeah.
and Stephen A. Smith. So there was a report. I sent you that report about
Yeah,
Skip Bayless, where ESPN was trying to recruit Skip Bayless to come back
right.
to work with Stephen A. And apparently Stephen A. was spearheading this whole campaign to bring Skip back. Of course, they did not strike a deal. Skip ended up re-signing with Fox, but ESPN is also trying to create a situation where they can kind of merge the shows,
Yeah,
which will be huge
yeah.
because these guys are literally competition. First Take and Undisputed is really competition. They're mirrors of each other. What are your thoughts on that, man?
I'm gonna say like this, man. At first when Skip got the deal with Fox, I'm just like, all right, I know ESPN tried it. I know Stephen A was really trying to get that back together, and it just didn't happen. But then I hear, well, wait a minute, hold on. They still might could do some business. You know what I'm saying? So maybe the network execs at the top, with ESPN and Fox, maybe can work something out so we can get these guys back together. I'm gonna tell you, you remember just like I do, when Skip and Stephen A were on there and Skip say something crazy and Stephen A drinking his coffee. I used to love that. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, hopefully, the networks can work something out where these guys can work together in some type of capacity where they can do some type of show. Because I would just be interested to see what it looks like now, and could it be back to the same kind of
Right.
chemistry? Does that still go on? But I know they're really good friends, and even Stephen A said this. They still meet up to debate sports like all
Right.
the time.
Right.
So I think everything would just come right back in place.
Yeah, and that would be, I think it was Stacks who mentioned, said that would be huge. That would be something that would be monumental. You can get two rival shows being able to partner and have an offset show. Because from my understanding, Stephen A would still do First Take with Max Kellerman,
Right.
and Skip would still do Undisputed with
Yeah. With
Shannon. Because
Uncle Phil, yeah.
I honestly think that Skip and Shannon are really good together. I really do.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people don't like Skip, but you hear nothing but good stuff from people that know him really close and really well. That he's a good dude. Like
Yeah.
Shannon even said, Shannon and Snoop had they had a conversation on Shannon's podcast, and Shannon was saying that Skip went to bat for him. He was saying that no one wanted to really hire Shannon as a personality, a podcast. I don't know if it's a podcast, but like a show
Yeah.
personality.
Hmm.
He said Skip told Fox, if you don't sign Shannon, you might not have me. Like,
Yeah.
Shannon was saying Skip went to Fox and was like, yo, I need that guy. I need Shannon because Shannon's going to do his research and he's going to come in here and he's not going to hold back. So Shannon said, from then on, Skip is good with him. He said Skip went to bat for him when no one at Fox believed in him and helped him get the bag. So I do think that they have a good bond, but I didn't realize how strong of a bond that Stephen A and Skip had, especially for Stephen A to want to have a situation where ESPN still have them, but Skip still work at Fox. If
Right.
that happens, that will be huge.
Yeah.
So I hope it happens. I really
Yeah.
do.
Me too, man. Me too.
I
I
still
want
want to see Skip and Shannon because I love that show. I think that show was better than First Take. I think First Take is corny. I think Max Kellerman is corny. But I do think that if they can do that, that'd be huge. That's big business right there.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
good deal, good deal. So our last one, it was basketball, man. These
Yeah.
16 to 18-year-olds, and you brought this to the table, man. Like
Yeah.
a league where they can pay up to 100K
Yeah. Yeah.
for these kids.
Man, crazy,
What
man.
thoughts on that, homie?
I'm gonna say like this. It's they said it's one of these hedge fund guys, so one of these Wall Street guys or whatever, right? And he's starting a league called Overtime, right? So that means, before they get to the G League or whatever, right?
Yep.
You're talking I mean, basically juniors and seniors, but you can get the best of the best, to already get this bag before the NBA happens. I know the NBA is thinking about moving that one and done out and take them straight from high school. I know they've been talking about that.
Mhm.
So I'm just like, man, listen, if you have a 16-year-old and it's just like, listen, he's really good, he's really at the top of his class for the game, and he can get $100,000. I'm just like, hey, man, listen, if he's that good, that's going to be his profession anyway. You know what
Absolutely.
I'm saying? So I'm just like, look, on the job training is on the job training, right? And I understand, some parents might be a little old school and like, yeah, I want him to go to college, but guess what? Yeah, I mean, in that 1 year of college, he's still going to leave, because I'm like, yo, he's still going to turn pro anyway, and he's still going to
Absolutely.
have to go back and get the degree anyway. So I'm
Right.
just like, to me, I'm like, look, if he can secure the bag, try to, create, I'm saying, some generational wealth, help the family out. Look, I'm like, man, 100,000. I'm just like, man, it's not like it's all the money in the world. But guess what though? You might say, hey, mom, look, I mean? I got this 100 grand. I mean? For real, put 20,000 towards the house. Put this
Right.
towards that. Pay off your car, something. You know what I'm saying? I
Right.
like, man, and I'm like, because if he's that good, this is what he's going to do anyway. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? So I'm just like, man, I'm all for it. I'm all for it, man, because I'm like, look, you got these programs and stuff like that exploiting these kids, you know what I mean, somewhat, and they don't get a dime from college and nothing like that.
Absolutely.
They don't get one, and they sell their jerseys, for $100, selling sneakers and shoe deals, and they don't get none of that money.
Right.
So I'm like, if a kid got a chance to get the bag at 16, you go ahead and get the bag at 16. And guess what? Before anybody trip, they already do this overseas. You know what I mean? Luka Doncic was playing, you know what I mean, for professional since he was like 13 years old. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, man, so our kids in this country can't do it, but they can do it everywhere else around the world? Nah, I don't think so.
Yep. I think if it's handled the right way, it could be effective. If it's mishandled, it's going to be a disaster,
Yeah.
um, because
I,
you're going to get a lot of people in a really bad situation,
mm,
and you're going to have to be careful about that.
yeah.
So I know there's more to this. I know there's more conversation around this.
Hmm.
So hopefully they can figure it out and make the right decision.
Right.
But this will be a difficult one, man. I'm 50-50 on it because I do think if it's handled the right way, it could be done the right way and be put in the right light. But again, greed normally takes over. And
Mm,
if it's mishandled, it's going to be a situation where it's going to be like really, really bad, man.
yeah. I agree with that. I
So more to
definitely,
come on that.
yeah.
So, all right, man. So now about to get into our last two main topics. The first one, I hit you up. I think it was Friday night.
Yeah.
I was laying on the couch, just relaxing from a hard week. And I came across my TV screen, the Tekashi 6ix9ine documentary. And
Right.
nothing else was on TV. So I turned it there and I was like, yo, what is this? And then I kind of set up a little bit, like, yo, they're really going in. I text Marc, like, yo, you need to hop on and check this joint out, man. Just saying everything you were talking about for the past several months. And you
Mm,
had a chance to watch it, man. So I want to get your thoughts on this show, man. It's the Tekashi 6ix9ine documentary on Hulu, and also Showtime as
yeah.
well.
Hmm.
And it's called The Villain, The Makings of a
Yeah.
Villain.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on this doc,
I'm
man?
I'm gonna tell you, like I'm gonna say like this, like with Takashi, I'm saying, I got on him, right from the start of the rap thing, you know what I mean, with Gummo, right?
Yep.
I remember my nephew coming to me and he was just like, you gotta hear this guy, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, right? So my nephew came to me, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna check it out. Then one of my music guys, you know what I mean, came to me and they were just like, yo, it's this little Mexican kid, you know what I mean, who sound like Fredro from Onyx. You know what I'm saying? Ate up, but the song is hard, right? And this is before I heard it. You know what I'm saying? Then I heard it, and I'm like, man, and I didn't see what he looked like. I heard the song first. I didn't see the video. You know what I'm saying? And I'm
Mhm.
like, yo, this is wild. But I'm like, he has the right energy, the right cadence, the right tone. I like, and this song is hard. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I like, he might be able to do something with this, but to see where the trolling, you know what I'm saying, and all the extra bravado came from, to see what his roots were and why that happened and why that set up all the setup, with the murder of his stepfather. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? And he was mad at the world about that. You know what I mean? He never got past that. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Right.
And he was saying how his stepfather used to take him to the movies, and he was like, the good guy never won. All the movies that he went to see with his dad, the good guy never won. The villain always won. The villain always came out all right, came out on top. And he started carefully crafting this image, crafting how he was going to do this thing or whatever. So I'm gonna say like this: like, if you think he was just some little idiot running around, you're wrong. He's very smart. He knew exactly what he needed to do and how he needed to move the pieces on the chessboard to do what he wanted to do. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? He was able to do that until he couldn't do that anymore. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So
Right.
I'm
He,
like, it gave me an insight, you know what I'm saying, that, and when you watch this, I'm just like, yo, all right, we understand. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he's a rat. Okay, cool. Got you. You know
right.
what I'm saying? But you're gonna understand why all these behaviors and all this stuff that he did, why it happened.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. I tell you, that documentary really opened up a lot of different things. It made you realize how dangerous social media is. And it also made you realize, um, the fact that this kid created this persona
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of people followed because he created so much controversy. It also made you realize how toxic people are, period,
Mm.
because he created an entire fan base off of trolling. You know what I mean? He created a whole fan base off of being a nut, just on social media. And this was all planned. Like he's really a coward. You know what I mean? He's really he's not like that. You know what I mean? But he was able to surround himself around some real goons
Mm.
and created this persona that a lot of people followed. I never really got into his music, period. Like I never thought that the dude could rap. I never thought that he had any style like that made me say, oh, he really spitting, or he really got some energy. Just because you're yelling on a record, that don't mean you're nice. You know what I'm saying? And that's all he was doing the entire time. But he was also trolling. He was creating a lot of headlines based on a lot of things that this era of people, kids, those who follow social media, those who are on TikTok, those who are on anything that grabs your attention. And he was just out there baiting, you know what I mean? Baiting people, clickbait stuff. And we fell for it. I said but they fell for it. And
Mm.
he created an entire loyal fan base based on that. The crazy thing, Mark, what I realized, like even the guys who were coming up to him during that time, they were saying the same thing. They were like, yo, dude was like, we saw what he was doing, but there was money involved.
Yeah,
Like we knew he wasn't like that, but there was money involved.
yeah,
When homie, when he was taping one of his homeboys' video,
yeah,
and his homeboy thought he was looking out. He was jacking the video the whole
yeah,
time to
yeah,
make it his own. So stuff like that, the dude is I think rat is an understatement. You know what I mean? Because you think about some of the things he's done, he had no moral compass. He was really
no,
in it for the cheddar. He was in it for the fame, and he pulled the wool over the eyes of a lot of people. And he was able to rat publicly, going to court and say, "Look, I'm not like that. I'm not affiliated with the gangs. That was all music. That was all entertainment." And then come out and continues to troll. It was
yeah.
just
Yeah, it's
crazy.
crazy. It's crazy, but you know what though? His story, when you watch this documentary, is a story of a good old American greed.
Yeah,
Because you look at the people around him, right? And it's just like, all right, he's not a gang member. We are gang members, right? But
right,
yeah, I'm saying it's about greed, it's about fame. All of those guys wanted those things, money. They wanted all of those things. You know what I mean? They wanted
right,
to be in the clubs with the strippers, and the strippers go
right.
crazy because they come up in there. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, and you can see this firsthand. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, put it like this, right? Like if you walk in a strip club with James Harden, you know what I'm saying? That's your man's. You know what I'm saying? Guess what? Every stripper, you know what I mean, gonna be there for James Harden, but they all can't get James, so they gonna get you. You his
Right,
man's, right? You know what I mean? Shoot,
right,
so it's going down.
right,
So the thing is, though, everybody kind of fell victim to that. You know what I'm saying? And one thing about 6ix9ine, he looks out for himself. At the end of
yeah,
the day, he gonna look out for himself before anything else. And you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you gotta study how people move, but when them lights are bright, the money's coming in and the fame and the popularity, you'll get off that and not even know what's going on. You know
right,
what I'm saying? And I think the guys who had him first, right? I understand, they were trying to reel him in a little bit, like, yo, this is the plan, this is how we gonna do it. But then you know what I mean, for what you call the boy hired the big homie, and then the big homie took it over from the boy Shoddy. He took everything over for him and was just like, yo, look, we young, we wild, we the new death row and all of that. You know what I'm saying? And
right,
in the end, you know what I mean, for real, I'm just like, man, like I said, it came down to greed, it came down to, you know what I mean, for his selfishness, it came down to all of that. And it's like, man, instead of staying in the cup making the money, you know what I'm saying? He had to go and mess with the boy girl. I mean, wasn't never confirmed, but the fact is when a man has them type of thoughts, you know what I mean, he gonna think it happened anyway, you know what I'm saying, whether it did happen or not. So, you know what I'm saying? I understand why he wanted to take him down, right?
Right.
Like I understand that. So somebody asked me, well, why you telling on everybody else, right? And I'm like, you got to understand when you get pressured by the feds, right? You can't just give up who you want. You know what
No.
I'm saying?
No.
They be like, all right, that's good that you gave us this guy, but you still looking at 20 years. So who
Right.
else you gonna give me? You know what I mean? So he
Right.
had to run everything down that he knew about everybody, whether he wanted to or not. And that's how he got the sentence reduced. But when they start reducing them sentences, it doesn't go from 50 years, because he had 47 to life, right? So it doesn't go from 47 to life down to 2 without substantial cooperation. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And if you look at what he did, I mean, he took down about 15 guys. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So now he's back out here. And if you look at kind of what he's doing now, we talked about this, right? He's trying to beef with Meek Mill. He's trying to beef with Lil Durk. He's trying to beef with, you know what I mean, some of these other rappers because the feds want to build a case against these guys. You know what
Right.
I mean, too. You know what I mean? So he could score another 15 takedowns or whatever, right? So it kind of works like that, but I don't think it's working for him personally. But I would just say like this with the doc, you know what I mean? Going back to what the doc is, it's just an interesting story. It's a
Yeah.
very interesting story. Even if you like, I never really listened to his music, I never really banged with him. Watch the documentary though, because
Yeah.
it kind of shows insight into who he is, who he was, how he is, how he was, and how American greed, fame, fortune, all of those, you know what I mean, could get everybody turning on everybody. And we've seen this story play out hundreds of times
100
way
times.
before him. But and
Absolutely.
I think, you know what I mean, that's what the story's about, man. So I
Yeah.
would say check that out, man.
Yeah. Absolutely. Hopefully, we don't have to talk about this guy no more. But I think this is closure because a doc really just validated everything we were talking about with this guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? The doc validated that he was more of a plant. He was an
Yeah,
industry plant, if you will.
yeah,
They create no different than Milli Vanilli. And now, hopefully he is up
yeah,
out of here. Schmurda is home now. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
hopefully Schmurda can come back and really get planted, back in New
yeah,
Yiddy and kind of get things moving again. And we had to worry about this guy. So we'll
yeah,
see.
absolutely.
I'm sure his story gonna pop up somewhere else in a different trolling situation, but we'll see.
Yeah,
So so the last piece to our main topics for the night, in light of Coming to America that
yeah,
came out over the weekend, there was a lot of conversations around sequels.
yeah,
So, Wednesday night we're going to get more into that, but tonight we're going to talk about hip hop album sequels.
right.
And we selected a couple of albums that we wanted to touch up on because of the magnitude around the first albums. We could have gone so many different ways because there's so many classics out there, but there's not many that actually had a part 2 or a sequel to that album. And what we mean by sequel, we're talking about the album that came out and the second album had the same exact name. In this regard, our first one we're talking about was the Rick Ross joint. So
Yeah,
Ross dropped his first album that he dropped was Port of Miami.
right.
And anyone who knows, love music, know that Ross, when he dropped Port of Miami was one of those albums that was it solidified Ross, right? We knew Ross was here. The vibe on that album, the leading song on the album was Boss, right? Where it was different. It was
Yeah,
different. Guy, out of Florida, you know what I mean? He had a whole different swagger, a lot of confidence, you know what I'm saying, in his rap. And some people consider Port of Miami, they consider that a classic. They consider that was Ross classic.
mm,
And then he dropped another one. You know what I mean? He dropped, part 2 to that, Port of Miami too. So, Mark, I know you're a Ross fan.
yeah.
How do you feel about the first album in comparison to the sequel? Should he have made a sequel to Port of Miami?
Me personally, I kind of think he should have left. I think he should have left the title alone. Not that Port of Miami 2 wasn't good because I thought that was good also, but
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't as good as one because one kind of had that, you know what I mean, for it had that gritty kind of Miami, feel like, you know what I'm saying? So like if you watch Scarface, right? You know what I'm saying? If you played Grand Theft Auto Vice City, it kind of had that kind of feel. You know what I'm saying? That old Miami Vice stuff. You know what I mean? Those type of beats, cadences, things like that. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Even when he did the videos, you know what I'm saying? They kind of had, they showed those neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I lived in Miami for a few years, so I've seen all of those neighborhoods, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. And I'm just like, that's what it kind of was. In Port of Miami too, I understand it had the same namesake, but you know what I'm saying? The music was a little bit different. You know what I mean? I think he could have named that something else. I understand why he named it that, and I'm not saying it wasn't a good album because it was, but the first one was just better. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It wasn't like yo, this is hands down far and away much better, but it was just like one of them things like who won the game and who lost. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Pretty much. You know what I'm
Ab-
saying?
Absolutely. I thought Port of Miami, the first one, again, I consider it his personal classic.
Mhm.
I wouldn't count it as a universal classic, but I think that out of his catalog, that was his one. And I think he even said it even before he made Port of Miami 2. He said there was going to be uh, some pressure. He knew it was going to be pressure to make a Port of Miami 2.
Right.
Because the thing about having a sequel album is that you're saying that this album is going to be equally good as the first
Yeah.
one, if
Mhm.
not better, right?
Yeah.
And it's a hard pull off, especially when you got a series of albums that you want to get better at. And to your point, I don't think the bar wasn't really high on Port of Miami, the first one. It wasn't too high where he could not reach it. I think that Port of Miami 2, he probably trying to do too much to overcome Port of Miami 1. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And I think he kind of missed the mark. Um,
Yeah.
but mhm,
They no, I was gonna say, when he was in a different space. You know what I'm saying? Because
right,
you listen to Port of Miami, it's pretty gritty. Even
it's gritty.
even even the stuff, you know what I'm saying, is like a little more celebratory,
Yeah,
things like that. It's still gritty. Port of
yeah, yeah.
Miami too is a little more smooth because I'm just like he's
Right,
already had made a level of success. You know what I'm
right.
saying? I understand you're still talking
Millionaire.
some of the same things, but it kind of doesn't come across, you know what I mean, for it as gritty as Port of Miami. So
Right.
that's
He's
another
making
difference that I
money. Right. He's making money. He's good
think.
now. Different scope of things.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, we go to Lil Wayne.
Mm,
So Lil Wayne had an entire series, the Carter series.
yes.
Anyone who's a true Lil Wayne fan, like I knew some guys who were from Louisiana who like die hard Wayne, and they will always tell me that the Carter one was his best.
Hmm.
They thought Carter 2 was solid. They were okay with Carter 3, but they kept saying that Carter 1 and Carter 2 were probably like prime Wayne. Now, for me, I thought Carter 3 was the best for
Hmm.
obvious reasons. Carter 3, to me, had more of it was like Wayne came into his own. I felt that was his peak album. I felt like every artist had that peak album, and I felt that Carter 3 was a peak album.
Hmm.
And I think everything after that was mediocre. So I know you're a Wayne fan as well. You listen to Wayne, and you got some ties to that because of Gilly.
Yeah.
How do you think the Carter series played out? Which one do you think
Um,
Carter series? Which one's the best one?
you know what? I would say like this. My favorite is two. Three is right there with it. And
Okay.
I thought one was good as well, but I thought one. The reason why I don't, and people are probably surprised by this, me being from Philly, and we know Yummy what Gilly Yummy contributed to Lil Wayne coming up. You know what I'm saying, as far as his pen, as far as his writing and all of that. But I think one, you could kind of hear, some Gilly influences in one. And I'm just like, yo, you're Little Wayne. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to hear Gilly South, if that makes any sense. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? I'm like, you're Lil Wayne, you're good enough, you know what I mean, for to stand on your own.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I understand that Gilly's down with the team. I understand that he's helped you on some things, but I'm like, you don't have to kind of take his sound though. You can do
Right.
you're good enough to do your own thing. And I just think with the Carter one, even though it was a dope album, right? I don't know if
Yep.
Wayne was as confident in himself as he was in two and three. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. 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 Right.
So I'm just like, yo, like even though I thought the Carter was really good, I thought Carter 2 and Carter 3 were better because I think Wayne was able to kind of graduate to do his own thing. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Instead of, you know what, I'm gonna stay in this lane right over here.
Right.
And then 4 or 5, we're solid, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I would say this is probably the one where I think, it kept getting better. I would compare the Carter series with the Carter series with Wayne to kind of like Sylvester Stallone with Rocky. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Where if you talk to people, it seemed like it kept getting better as the franchise moved on. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, oh, well, Rocky was dope, but then you talk to them old timers, you know what I'm saying? Who like, they were there when the movie came out, and they tell you, you know what I mean? I mean, me, we had to see the movie later because we was too young,
Right.
but you know what I'm saying? But they kind of walked you through all of that. You know what I'm saying? Where
Absolutely.
Rocky 1 was this, Rocky 2 was that, Rocky
Ab-
3 obviously with Mr. T and who was Clubber Lang, you know what I mean, was great. And Rocky 4, you know what I mean, when Apollo Creed died, you know what I'm saying? And at the hands of Ivan Drago. You know what I'm saying? So I liken the Carter series to the kind of Rocky series. You know what I'm saying? You know how it was, man. It kept kind of going up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So I liken it to that.
So, that's a valid point, man. I think for me, the Carter 3 was the first Lil Wayne album I bought.
Mhm.
And I'll be honest, man, that album came out like in 2000 and what was that, 2005, 2006, something like that.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
album came
yeah,
out.
yeah.
I thought that album was phenomenal. I
It, it,
thought
was- it was
I
really
thought Wayne
good.
had peaked on that album. I was like, yo, the production
Yo,
was
production.
really
Whew.
good.
Well, that was his best production. I think that was the best
Hands
production
down.
any album he had. Period.
Hands down. The lyrics were dope. The direction was really good. Wayne peaked at that album. He was coming. Carter 1 and Carter 2, he was coming.
Yeah,
Carter 3, I think that he peaked. And at that point, during that time, you had people in circles really, debating if he was the greatest rapper of all time. Now,
yeah,
I was never part of that circle. I never thought that he was at no point in his career the greatest rapper of all time. But you had people really saying like this guy is top 5 or top 3 dead or alive, which to
yeah,
me was asinine, what was ridiculous. But again, the Carter 3 created that kind of buzz because he showed a lot of growth. He showed a lot of range in that album, and it was a dope album. To me, I think it's maybe shy of a classic, a universal classic. Um, but you can twist my arm, and I would call it an automatic classic. Um, but I think he peaked at that album, man. That's my opinion on that one.
yeah, yeah. And like I said, man, I think to be honest, he just like I said, he kept ascending, right? And you got to understand at that time, especially after the Carter 3, it seemed like he was on every remix.
Every
So I'm like, when people say, "Yo, he's the goat," or he's top 5 or whatever, I think he was so hot, flaming hot at that time.
man,
You know what I'm saying? Because like
mixtapes
he was everywhere. I can
everywhere.
see how what I'm saying, that he was just in that aura at that time where it's like,
Yeah,
man, I ain't even seen nobody have a run like that in a year that quite like he had. Even
right,
though other guys who came before him was super dope and all of
right,
that, it's just the run that he had. The run was like, you know what
right,
I'm saying? The run was like one of them, like like when the Lakers, back in the day, won 33 straight. It was kind of
yeah,
like that level of a run. Was
yeah.
insane.
It
You
was
know
insane.
what I'm saying?
It,
Yeah.
it was insane. So our last album for the night, as we close out, is Jay Blueprint 1.
Mm-hmm.
Then he came out with Blueprint 2 and of course Blueprint 3. But I want to focus more so on Blueprint 1 and Blueprint 2.
Mm-hmm.
Just because Blueprint 1, in my opinion, was Jay's best album. I know a lot of people say Reasonable Doubt was it. Reasonable Doubt is a classic. People say, I don't think it's a classic. I think that it's a very good outing. First album. I think Blueprint is the classic that Jay had. This same way I feel that Lil Wayne had peaked at Carter 3. I think Jay-Z had peaked. Like he was at his highest mark at Blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
He had just did a Michael Jackson joint on stage. You bring Michael Jackson on stage at Summer Jam, you big boy. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? He had just dropped the Takeover. You know, he was going at Mob. He was going at Nas. You know the story. He was at that peak. No one was touching Jay when Blueprint came out. He dropped the album on 9/11. I mean, like, you know, come on. I
Yeah.
mean, it was just one of those things where Jay was like really at a certain point where he could not be touched. He was untouchable at the top of Blueprint. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Man, I would say like this. Me personally, Reasonable Doubt, my favorite J album. You know what I'm saying? But I can here's the one thing, you know what I'm saying? I think I can see why people, when and many people say this, that Blueprint was his best album because it has so much range to it. It was something on that album for everybody. And I don't think it was like that with Reasonable Doubt. I think, if you were in tune with that kind of music, that kind of talk, it kind of you felt it. But if it was just like, yo, that really wasn't your lane, you know what I'm saying? Or, what you really rock to, you know what I mean? Then it's like, yo, I like it, but I don't love it. But Blueprint, though, it seemed like has something for everybody. And that's why people say, yo, like this is his best work because he really, was able, to kind of spit, you know what I'm saying? He has
Right.
something, a little something for everybody. I liked it, personally. But then as you went to Blueprint 2, my problem is Blueprint 2 was a double disc.
Right.
And it, I would say half of that stuff should have been left off. I think if you would have combined it into one album, I think, I'm saying it could have really did some damage. But it didn't, and it was just songs that just didn't fit. And it's just like I don't even know how this made it. Who
Right.
approved that? Who approved this record to make it? You
Right.
like some of that stuff, I'm
Right.
like, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, why I have to go to disc two to find, what I mean, for somehow, some way with Beans and Scarface.
Right.
That should be like right there in the beginning. Like,
Right.
dude, you want me to enjoy this album, right? You got to put your best stuff on, you know what I mean, for right then. It's just, come on, man. Nobody goes to a party and be like, show up, oh man, let me change clothes, man. I'm looking bad out here. Nah, you know what I mean? You're supposed to go right. You know what I'm saying? You
Absolutely.
know. So
Absolutely.
I just think he overstepped it, and there's probably ego. You know what I mean? For we talking
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
Jay here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Probably ego. Yo, man, I
Yeah.
could put everything I got out here right now. You know what I mean? They gonna rock with it. Well, guess what? We ain't rock all the way with that joint. It's stuff on that album we didn't like.
Right. Absolutely. And when you talk about the theme of sequels, again, if you got a classic sequel, if you got a classic album or anything,
Mm,
the sequel, you want the sequel to be in comparison to it, not a
yeah,
major drop off. I think Blueprint 2, Jay was distracted because Ether, burned them up. That was the first time that we saw Jay vulnerable. That's the first time Jay took a L. And that's the first time that, the rock, if you will, started crumbling
mm,
because Ether really created so much other things around Jay to the point where he just created a really bad album. And even to your point, even if he would have made that Blueprint 2 album into one album,
hmm
I think it would still be hard pressed to call it a solid effort because you had so many songs on Blueprint 2 on both discs that weren't good. You know what I mean? It was just, you had to join with Shawn Paul. That joint was,
yeah,
you know, that's so bad,
yeah,
just as bad as on Sunshine. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Um, and you had to join on there all around the world. It was just, he just had some weird direction on that album where, to your point, even if you go back, Mark, if you go back into time and think about during that time, that the build up the Blueprint 2 was massive. It was
yeah,
massive.
yeah,
You know what I mean? The commercials that
yeah.
they had with Blueprint 2, the marketing they had around Blueprint 2, it was massive. And then
Yeah.
he dropped the album,
Mm.
and it was like,
Yeah. And that probably was my problem because I was just like, yo, I remember the build up to it. You know what I'm saying? Yo, Blueprint 2, the people talking record. You know what I mean?
right,
And he came at Nas on that.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, all right, yo, he talking about in this joint. I'm hearing, yo,
Right.
Blueprint 2 gonna be fire. Like, so you hype with it because it was a lot of build up, and then
Hey,
he gives you the double disc, and I'm just, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I was a little skeptical because I'm like, I'm about to buy this, right? You know
right.
what I mean? But I'm like, I'm not really a double disc guy, right? I'm like,
That all around the world.
yo, it's a lot for it to be, it takes a lot for you have two whole things to be good. I'm
Right.
like, I mean, I understand Biggie did it. Yeah, I mean, with Life After Death, Pac, All Eyes on Me. I'm
Wu-Tang
like,
Forever.
you got a Wu-Tang, like you got a lot to live up to when you
Right.
put out two. You
Right.
got a lot to
Right.
live up to. You know what I'm saying? Because the one, some of the people who have put, the people I've named who put out Yummy We Name, who put
Right.
out two, I mean, those are like classic records. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So you doing two, and it's like, and I'm skipping. I don't like skipping. You know what I mean? I'm not a fan of the skip. If
The
I'm
Stacks
skipping,
don't, Stacks don't like this, man.
no, I'm sorry, Stacks, but listen, I'm not a fan of skipping, and that's what I was doing on Blueprint 2. I'm just
That
skip.
was,
I
yo,
like this one, skip. I like this one, skip. I'm like, oh man,
yo,
this isn't good.
after All the Dream, I skipped everything after that. And I went to the second disc and heard the first joint. Um, I thought was dope. The joint that he was dissing Nas on. I thought that was dope. I said that's how you come back at Nas. But it still didn't, it still missed the mark, but that's how you come back at him. And after that, I skipped some more. So the album really was a dud. And it kind of goes back and we wrapped it up with the whole sequel thing. Anytime, especially when you have an artist, and we picked those three artists because those three artists are in different spaces, respectfully, right? You look at Wayne, who again was considered at one point top 5 Dead or Alive at that one point in that one time period, right?
Yeah,
You look at Jay, who will not consider to be top 3 of all time, and I think that he's top 3. I think he's top 3, top 5 of all time, honestly. You look at someone like Ross, who's not really considered top 3 or top 5, but he also have a situation where he's respected because he did make good music, and Ross is known for grabbing good beats and doing things of that nature. So just to have the pressure to do a sequel album where you drop such a great and beautiful piece of work, and then you're naming your second, your follow-up as a part 2,
mm-hmm.
that is very tricky
Yeah,
because you can hit it. It's not, I don't think it's a great area because the albums that we talked about, I don't think it's a great area. Blueprint 2 is definitely not a great area. I think it's either you like it or you don't. Most people don't. It didn't live up to Blueprint 1. So even Blueprint 3, I thought was really a great album, but it wasn't as good as Blueprint 1.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like you said with the Carter series, after the Carter 3, 4 and 5 was like,
yeah,
it was
yeah,
okay, but it just didn't live up to the hype or to the quality of part 3. So you gotta be
yeah,
careful with sequels.
yeah. You definitely do. I would say, in Wayne's case, I think he ascended. I think he kept getting better. You know what I'm saying? As they went from one
But
to two to three.
those
I
stats
think, I
crazy.
mean, with Ross and Hove, it's like when they went from one to two, it was just like, yo, one's better than
Right.
two. You know what I mean? But if you're gonna make a sequel, man, or you know what I mean, for push it even further, I'm like, you gotta musically push yourself further. You know what I'm saying? Just same with a movie, you gotta push yourself further, man. So I would say like this: if you about to drop a part two to something, you about to drop part two to a movie or whatever, I'm like, man, you better push yourself because guess what? The people gonna let you know if they
Absolutely.
feeling it or not. You know what I'm saying? And
Absolutely.
we've heard it with Coming to America. We've heard it, with these albums, and that's just the way it is.
Absolutely. Because the expectation is high. When you
Yeah,
drop a great piece of work, no matter if it's a movie or an album, the
right.
expectation is high.
Yeah,
You put a part 2 attached to that, you better make sure that you get behind that thing 1,000% and put together another great piece of material. So I'm
right.
sorry, Stacks, that we had to shit on Blueprint 2, but we did give props to Blueprint 1. Blueprint 1 is a classic. Blueprint 2 is a dud. So we apologize for that, man. So Mark, man, another good show tonight, man. We're gonna
So,
wrap this thing up. Yo, what do you got in your mind, man? What are your parting thoughts for tonight?
Man, shoot, not too much, man. I'm just kind of want to see where the second half of this schedule, NBA schedule is going.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, one thing, piece of good news, especially for Philly fans, Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, they didn't play in the All-Star game, obviously, but their tests have came back negative. They're good to go for the second half of the season, so we don't have to wait up, and worry about if they're going to be ready. They're going to be, ready for schedule, and we're going to see how the second half of the season goes, man. Go Sixers.
yo, Stacks is crazy, man. This dude is in the comments wilding out, man. I tell you, man, we apologize about Blueprint 2. We didn't make Blueprint 2. Jay made Blueprint 2. We didn't make it. We didn't tell him to put the album out. You know what I mean? He should have took a year off after Ether. After Ether, you got to take some time off, man. You got to process that. And he came out too fast. So I apologize, Stacks.
They stack somehow, some way. You know what I mean? With Beans and Scarface. I love that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I love that.
That was supposed to be on Bean's record, but Jay took that because he knew Blueprint 2 was going the wrong direction. So he needed something. So,
are we surprised at that? No? Okay.
Absolutely not. Yo, well, Whisk is like a rat compared to Beans, you whack. Yo,
oh my goodness,
yo, shout out. Yo, but shout out. Yo, chill out, Stacks. Yo, shout out to the guys. Shout out to Merv. Shout out to Stacks. Shout out to Tina B. Thank you, Tina, for being behind the scenes and controlling the stems for us tonight, getting the comments out there and putting the banners out there. Thank you so much. Shout out to Becca for actually just being supportive and also doing her thing out there, pushing the message out there, sharing the content of all the shows. Salute to you ladies. I know Merv and Stacks are probably hanging out right now. Stacks, make sure that you check your house before Merv leave. You got sticky fingers. Make sure nothing is gone. You'll check his pockets when you leave your house tonight. Something will be gone. Out of something out your refrigerator, something out your freezer.
No, you gotta check the liquor stash. You gotta check the liquor stash. Yeah.
Yo, check the liquor stash. If you got some frozen meats in there, check his pocket paws for frozen meats because
if Merv show up, you know what I mean, tomorrow show on Wednesday show with really good liquor, we gonna know, you know what I mean, what happened.
We gonna know. That's a giveaway. If you come on Wednesday night show with some good liquor and some kind of some steaks and you're eating on the live, we know he got that from Stacks' house. So Stacks, I will caution you, check your cabinets right now. If you had some jewelry or anything, price-wise hanging around, check everything, man. Straight up. So, yo, real talk. Before I jump off, Merc came to my house one time. I was looking for him. This dude was in my closet. I was like, yo, what are you doing? He was walking through my closet. It was just the weirdest thing, man. But anyhow, shout out to the fellas. Shout out. That's a real story. He was actually in my closet. He's like, yeah, this is a nice closet. I'm like, all right, man, thanks. What are you doing in here? But anyhow, shout out to you.
Did you have your Ciroc, or was the Ciroc still there, or was it missing?
Actually, I had a bottle of gin that was missing. Some gin. And I know I didn't take it. So it's a bottle of secret gin that was missing. But shout out to the fella, shout out to the ladies, shout out to YouTube, shout out to Blackjack TV, channel 199, Zingo TV, shout out to Maha Radio, to everybody who was watching on Facebook tonight, to our podcast group, to the guys podcast. Shout out to you, Marc. We had a good show tonight. Tune in tomorrow night for the guys presents Merv and Stacks featuring Marc and Tina B. They're going to get back into the Snowfall series. They're starting to wrap this thing up. I'm almost caught up, so I can hit you guys' show tomorrow. So hopefully I can be caught up with you guys. I can enjoy the show with everybody else who's watching. We're going to come back for your head top on Wednesday night as well. We have a sequel show, a little fun podcast. We're going to talk about some of your favorite movies out there that probably have some sequels and those who probably should not have sequels at all. So we got some fun things going on this week. Again, thank you all for the support. Thank you for the love. And until tomorrow, peace.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.